Hello again, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of We Are Here to Help. I am Matt Nagy, a business optimization specialist with Schooley Mitchell, helping organizations save time, money, and hassle by dealing with their vendors for them. In this week's episode, I have a good friend of mine, Alex Dvorak, who's a business broker with Transworld on. Welcome, Alex.
Hey, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate you bringing me on. I'm excited for the interview.
Excellent. Well, I think the number one question is, what is a business broker?
Yeah, fair enough. So I'm a business broker with Transworld Business Advisors. I help small business owners sell their business. So I work with people who are, maybe they're just burnt out from running it for so long. They've hit a ceiling. They want to retire. They want to move out of state. They hire me to go out, find a buyer who's going to be a right fit and see the value in their business, get them paid maximum value for the business, and then they can exit. So we work with small businesses that are doing less than 10 million in revenue. And any type of industry.
Excellent. And what is the buying and selling marketplace like today for business owners?
Yeah, it's really, really great. I'm really glad you asked, because there's been a kind of a perception out there that it's not a good time to sell your business right now. And because of that, listings are down. So 2020 listings were about 50% down. But the buyer demand hasn't gone away. The buyer demand is at an all-time high. Due to a number of things. One, people are not as tied down to a physical location. So there's a ton of people that are moving to Denver. People are losing their corporate job and starting to turn to entrepreneurship as a more rewarding lifestyle. And there's some really awesome SBA incentives out there for people buying a business. Interest rates are low. It's just kind of created this perfect storm of huge buyer demand, not a ton of options on the market.
Nice. And if you could expand a little bit, I know in the past we've talked about the SBA world, and I know they have an incentive program going on right now. Can you expand on that for a little bit?
Yeah, so most often people will buy a business with an SBA 7A loan. That's the most often or most common type of business acquisition loan. And now with the new stimulus package that was passed, if you get an SBA 7A loan from February 1st to September 30th, or until the money runs out, and I think the money's probably going to run out before then, the government will pay the first 6 months principal and interest of your loan. It's not deferred, it's not waived, it doesn't get tacked on to the end. The government will pay whatever bank you got the loan from, principal and interest for the first 6 months. So say you buy a business for $1 million. The government will pay $80,000 of that loan. You buy the business, you start cash flowing. You don't have to worry about covering the debt service for the first 6 months, which has just created, an incredible buying opportunity for a lot of people out there.
Nice. It sounds almost like the real estate marketplace here in Denver, where you have a lot of buyers and money is pretty cheap and not much is for sale. So it's a great time to be selling, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. And I mean, what in terms of your everyday, what would you say is the most common question you hear from business owners?
Definitely surrounding business valuation. So everyone is at least curious what their business is worth. Whether they're planning on exiting in a month or 10 years down the road, everyone wants to know, what their business is worth. And there's so much misinformation out there that you hear about these rules of thumb or different valuation metrics that are kind of thrown around. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is the small business acquisition marketplace is different than what you hear about like in investment banks or in stock market or whatnot. So the way buyers look at it and the way we look at it is a business owner puts a certain amount of money in their pocket at the end of the year. So they pay themselves. It's discretionary. They pay themselves through W-2. They take distributions from the net profit. Maybe they run some personal expenses through the business with their car and cell phones. We'll take a look at that and determine what is that number. Without all the discretionary spending, to run this business, how much can you make in a year? We call it seller's discretionary earnings. And then businesses will sell based on a multiple of that. That multiple is going to be determined by the level of risk that exists in the business. So bigger businesses are going to go for bigger multiples. Typically there's more infrastructure in place. It's less risky for a buyer to step into that. Smaller businesses typically sell for smaller multiples. And then there's a whole list of intangibles about, the industry, how the business is built, how involved the owner is, what the customers look like. All those things kind of go into it. But at the end of the day, it's seller's discretionary earnings applied to a multiple.
Okay. And I mean, seller's discretionary earnings, that's really one of the reasons why we met. One of the ways that I can help businesses is to help increase that number. But that was really how we first had our conversation. If you could kind of expound on how that can maybe help the business valuation as well.
Yeah. And Matt, you've been a great referral partner for me, because especially people who are looking to sell down the road, they're always asking, what can I do to increase my valuation? And a lot of times they get hung up on the intangibles, about documenting all these systems and processes and hiring a manager and doing this and that. And while all of that stuff is going to have some bearing on the valuation, at the end of the day, the seller's discretionary earnings, the cash flow of the business is ultimately what's most important. And to work with someone like you to reduce expenses and thus increase the net profits is such low-hanging fruit, to really increase the value of your business, because every dollar that hits the bottom line is going to be multiplied during the sale. So, I mean, there's little things you can do to kind of adjust for it, but driving to cash flow is really what's most important. I think a lot of business owners, they focus on top line revenues and they don't have time to sift through. I mean, I know I don't like going through all my expenses and worrying about all of that. So they take their eye off that. They just want to sell things. They just want to grow. And I think someone like you can really help them increase the value of their business, without them having to spend a lot of time on it.
That's how we met, and it's been a very fruitful relationship back and forth. So I'm glad we're able to have this conversation. The last question for you is just what is your process like? What does working with you look like for a prospective business buyer or a prospective business seller?
Yeah, so confidentiality is number one for us. When we're selling a business, we don't want the customers, employees, or competitors to know that the business is for sale. At least not without us having a conversation with them and then signing a non-confident or non-disclosure agreement. So we want to shop this deal, confidentially to as many people as we can. We're going to find out who the most probable buyer is. Is it going to be another company that's going to acquire you? It could be a competitor, and we might focus on that. Could be a person that's moving to Denver. Could be someone in an unrelated business that wants to expand their services. So there's a lot of different ways that it could go, but we want to shop the deal confidentially to a lot of different buyers. And we really want to focus on finding the right fit. So there's tons of buyers out there. There's a lot of people that would love to buy, the perfect business. And something that I think is important for buyers to understand is buying a business is not a place to park money, or really kind of like a real estate investment. It's a living, breathing, it's a lifestyle that you're walking into. And so we spend a lot of time trying to find the right fit, someone that understands that this is a fulfilling lifestyle, that it's all on them. We want to find someone that is going to be excited about waking up in the morning and putting the keys into the door and unlocking their new business. So that's kind of our process. Typically, it takes about 6 months from listing to close, for us to sell a business. And we just really want to make sure we really understand what the business is, from top to bottom, and find the person that sees the most value in that, so that we can get, maximum dollar for our clients.
Excellent. Well, I really do appreciate you taking some time to join me today. And for those out there, if you or anybody are looking to, buy or sell a business within the next, several years, Alex is a great reference, and his contact information is in the bottom. I'm sure he would welcome the phone call. So again, Alex, appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you've been such a great referral source for me. I appreciate it. And I'd love to return the favor if anyone has any questions about valuation, process, whatever, even if it's 10 years down the road, I'm happy to have that conversation with you.
Excellent. Again, appreciate it, and have a great day, everybody.